Hello everyone. So I'm here in Mayantuyacu in Peru, and I'm sitting beside the boiling river, which sits in the property of Mayantuyacu. You can see that's the river back there, and it keeps going. So I'm here doing a 10-day getaway, I guess, and we're here participating in ceremony, an ayahuasca ceremony. So I thought I might actually share one of my experiences with you. Some of the visions that I've had while in ceremony. So this one actually was a vision that I had of myself. As many of you know, I'm an artist. I like to draw mandalas, just very elaborate shapes, circles, and patterns that go and go and go. And in my vision, I saw myself standing between the yin and the yang, in the center of it. And I had one hand out like this, and I had my other hand out like that, and I was holding my hands out, and mandalas, elaborate mandalas, were coming out of my hands, and they were emanating from me, and just beautiful patterns just pouring out of me. And people from far and wide were coming to see these patterns, and I stood balanced in the center, just letting these designs pour out of me. And suddenly, someone or something, it almost felt like it came from a cosmic, somewhere in the cosmos, but something or someone took a rock and threw it at me just to see what would happen. How would it affect the patterns? And the rock came flying and hit me right there, and half of my body just shattered. My hand went down, and all the patterns on the right side of my body just collapsed and shattered. And all these pieces were on the ground, and all these people came, and they were worried, and they were trying to fix me, and they just didn't know how to fix me because I was very rare, and there was nothing quite like me. And so they were all trying to fix me, do surgery, all these things. And I knew inside of myself, I was still conscious and aware, and I thought to myself, well, I'll just fix myself. I'll just go inward, and I will balance myself, and I'll pop my head back out, and everything will be fine. But as I went inward, and I started working on myself, it was like the plane of existence started shifting and tipping, and everything started going weird. So I knew it was almost as though I was holding existence, and if I went and fixed myself, it would throw the balance off. So I had to learn to just accept myself as half broken. And so, of course, the left side still created patterns, and the right side just kind of fell down, almost like a stroke. And I was like this for a very long time, and then all of a sudden, someone showed up, and her name was Lady Lorelie, and she was almost like another spirit. And she showed up, and she looked at me, and she said, "Oh, I know how to fix that." And so she started taking all the broken pieces, and she just started creating something new out of it. She accepted what was broken, and she just created a new mosaic. She started creating new patterns with the broken patterns. And suddenly, I was something brand new, and yet an old ancient being. And this was very significant to me because, one, I saw myself as something that held the balance between the yin and the yang. I kind of hugged the center of it, and my stories often incorporate yin and yang, and I understand the balance between the dark and the light. The other very significant thing that I experienced through that vision was meeting for the first time the Lady Lorelie, who I now call myself. I have reinvented myself and become something new, and yet something very old and ancient. And the third thing that is very, very significant is that this rock came and hit me. Now in the vision, it seemed like something outside of myself threw it at me, and it almost seemed like a crater from the cosmos came and thunk, hit me. But when I was actually 9 years old, living in Africa as a child, our family was caught in a riot. And when we lived in Botswana, there was a concert that ended up going bad, and I guess the singer didn't show up, and there were some people who were drunk, and they became very angry that this singer didn't show up, and so they started rioting. And as we drove through the riot, because there was nowhere else to go, someone actually threw a rock. They threw many rocks, actually, one hitting a friend of mine right in the head, and we had to turn around and go to the hospital, so we had to drive through the riot again. And on the way back, I remember looking over at my friend and saying, like, "Are you okay?" And another rock hit me right here, and I actually have a scar from that incident. And so I was put in the hospital for a good long while. So it was interesting that this vision in ayahuasca showed me something, or it took something, it told a story that was true and created a metaphor and a vision for me to help me understand more of what I am and what happened to me and how that actual physical incident affected me, and how I am now learning to recreate myself. And I'm very happy with who I am and what I am now. The Lady Lorelie has blessed me, and maybe it's just another aspect of myself, or it's another spirit that's come to join me to show me how to rebuild my life. Because now I'm on the path that feels most authentic to me, and I'm very grateful to be who I am and what I am. And the broken pieces, without those broken pieces, there's no anger in me that someone would throw a rock and try and destroy me. Because in the vision it seemed more just out of curiosity, like what would happen if I threw something at this being? Like what would happen? What would happen to the patterns? Well, they shattered, but it's almost a metaphor for existence. No matter what happens, we can always be recreated. And I feel that that's very significant because there's a lot of people out there who perhaps feel broken. Heartbroken is a huge thing. We've all been heartbroken. The pieces of our heart have shattered, and we sometimes don't know how to move on. And we have to accept that brokenness. And in that acceptance, something will come along and it will help you. Whatever it is, it will help recreate you, and you will discover so much more about yourself. So I wanted to share that story of the Lady Lorelie and how she came out of something broken. So until again, I say adieu.